Hi guys, this is Erica from Gokce Capital. Now before I begin, be sure to click subscribe and turn on the notification bell. In 1990, dissatisfied rural residents of King County, Washington tried to secede from the county, all over a new wetlands ordinance. What happened? We'll find out at the end of this video. But first, if you think there may be wetlands on your property, you should have a wetlands delineation done. And in today's video, we have the top things you need to know. Number 1, what is a wetland delineation? Wetland identification and delineation establishes the location and size of a wetland for the purposes of complying with the Clean Water Act and other federal, state, and local regulations. Number 2, how do I know if I have wetlands on my property? Any area that is wet for an extended period during the year could be a wetland. However, wetlands are not always that easy to spot, and thus they should be surveyed and delineated by a professional utilizing an improved wetland delineation methodology. Number 3, why is it beneficial to protect wetlands? Most people do not realize why wetlands are so beneficial. Here are the top advantages. Wetlands improve water quality, control flooding, recharge aquifers, provide recreational space both for wildlife viewing and hunting, and protect biodiversity. In fact, wetlands are some of the most biodiverse ecosystems on Earth. Number 4, when do I need to do a wetland delineation? You should complete a wetland delineation if you're planning a development project, building a new road, or draining an agricultural field where a wetland may be disrupted or impacted. Number 5, who performs a wetland delineation? Depending on your location, a county or state official from the Department of Environmental Conservation or related agency may be able to come out and delineate your property for free. If not, you can hire a private biologist or wetland specialist to complete the delineation for you. Number 6, what does a wetland delineation include? You will typically receive 3 findings from the wetland delineation. A map that clearly defines the boundaries of each delineated wetland or stream, marks on site of the boundaries with flags, and a report that includes the results, data forms, and photographs. And finally, number 7, perhaps the biggest question you may have is, what happens if I find out that a wetland is on my property? Federally designated wetlands are protected under the Clean Water Act. The agency responsible for protecting wetlands is the Army Corps of Engineers. Thus, if a wetland is found during your wetland delineation, then the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will determine first whether your wetland area is jurisdictional and in need of protection. If it is, you will need to go through a permit process with the Army Corps to complete your project. Which brings us back to the King County Secession movement. In 1990, the state of Washington was growing at an unprecedented rate, and no area saw greater growth than King County. The booming economy, however, did more than bring jobs. Farm fields fell to energetic bulldozers. Sparkling streams became storm sewers, and suburban residents found themselves mad with frustration as their morning commute took them through some of the worst congestion in the West. By 1988, farmers, environmentalists, and suburban soccer moms alike worried about the impacts uncontrolled development would have on the landscape, environment, and way of life in rural parts of the state. Thus, they demanded the state do something about it, and in 1990, the state legislature passed the Growth Management Act. The law required that counties and cities accomplish 3 tasks: designate forest and agricultural lands as resource areas, delineate boundaries between urban and rural land use areas, and adopt critical areas ordinances to protect wetlands from development. Though the Growth Management Act gave broad authority to counties and cities, this did not stop a small group of landowners in the eastern half of King County from calling foul. In 1992, a small secession movement had formed with the aim of carving Cedar County out of the rural East, spurred in large part by new regulations that restricted development in or near wetlands. The Cedar County movement figureheads claimed to be a grassroots response to county-led land use restrictions, but allegations surfaced that it and other movements were funded by wealthy real estate developers who target rural areas. So what happened? Well, few of the 140,000 residents within the proposed boundaries of Cedar County showed much enthusiasm for the proposal. In 4 years, less than 24,000 signed petitions had been received. Still, the movement did submit their signatures to the Secretary of State, asserting that because the number of petitions represented over half the votes cast in the last election, the movement had complied with the constitutional requirements to form a new county. The Secretary of State reported the results to the legislature, but said it was not in his authority to decide whether to form the county or not. The legislature, in turn, took no action, so the movement went to the state Supreme Court in an effort to compel the state to form the county. And 6 years later, in 1998, the court ruled against the movement. A unanimous decision held that the Secretary of State had no duty under the Constitution to certify a petition for the new county. For the petition to be valid, it needed signatures from a majority of all voters living in the territory, not just a majority of those who voted in the last election. But not only that, the decision to create a new county is entirely up to the discretion of the legislature. The petition requirement is merely a limitation on the legislature to preclude it from the creation of a new county unless there is broad popular support. Thus, even if a sufficient number of signatures were present, the legislature was under no duty to act. With this ruling, Cedar County died on the vine, and within a few months, the committee had disbanded. Still, even if the court had ruled in their favor, the secession may have been moot anyway, at least as it related to wetlands protections. For as we have seen, even without state or county level laws, federally designated wetlands are still protected under the Clean Water Act, which just goes to show how important it is that you complete a wetlands delineation before buying a property. After all, if you later find a wetland will prevent you from building your project, there is no loophole around state and federal laws, not even if you were to create your own county. But what do you think? Do you have any stories about wetlands delineations? Let us know in the comments. Did you like this video? You're going to love our Gokce Land Due Diligence program. We'll make you a land due diligence expert in just 7 days. Check it out at gokcecapital.com/glad. And while you're at our website, don't forget to explore our $1 down listings at gokcecapital.com/listings. Finally, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email, call, or text, and we will respond as soon as possible. So thank you for listening, and more to come.